Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the second of my half-term reports. Now, last time out, I went over the drivers from the bottom 4 teams in the championship, and today it's all about Renault, Toro Rosso and McLaren, starting with Renault. Quite frankly, when it comes to them, not good, certainly nowhere near what I expected to see from them in 2019. They were seen by a lot of people as in with a real shot of breaking into that top 3 this year. As it stands though, they'll be lucky if they even end up in 5th place. Just 39 points from 12 races, scoring at 6 of them. That is not good enough for a team that should be bossing that midfield. Very disappointing. All I can think is that it has to be the car, simple as that. They have a very strong driver lineup, who I firmly believe would bring home the points if the team gave them a car capable of doing so. And McLaren are doing an excellent job using the same power unit. So it's surely something with the car. And yeah, okay, they might be able to salvage 5th. And although they are a long way off McLaren, there are still 9 races to go, so you never know, they might end up 4th yet. But is that really going to be enough for those making the decisions about the long-term future of the team? Time will tell on that one, but they need a seriously impressive second half to this season. Nico Hlkenberg has been a bit below par, in my opinion, as well so far in 2019. He's not been awful or anything like that, but I really did expect a lot more. Then again, if the car isn't underneath him and the car isn't consistent, then it's going to be difficult for any driver to deliver consistent and strong results. I guess it's kind of going back to what I said about Perez in the last video. Because he's set the bar so high over recent seasons, not least of all last year where he finished up best of the rest, I would have expected to see more from him. He's also been outperformed by Daniel Ricciardo in quali and has been outraced by him as well. Although it does have to be said that they are fairly close in terms of points, Nico being just 5 behind and what could have been in Germany. So close to some big points and maybe even a first ever podium. And the way this season's been going, those points could have been enough to finish ahead of his teammate. All in all though, again, not awful from Hlkenberg, but nowhere near where I thought it would be. And yes, as I've already said, the car takes a big chunk of the blame, but the drivers have got to take their fair share too. When it comes to a rating, I would probably say about 6.5 out of 10 is probably fair. As for his teammate, not great on the whole either, let's be quite frank, but in terms of the teammate battle, he's definitely been the better of the two. He's just under a 10th on average better off in quali, and as touched on a moment ago, he's marginally outscored Nico as well. When it comes to that side of things, I think he can be pretty happy. However, again, as I've already covered, that car is not good, and so it is going to be tough for the drivers, but that's where Danny Ric gets another tick in the box for me. Yes, he is a seriously good driver, but he is new to that team. It's going to take time for him to settle in, yet he's arrived at Renault, a team that Hlkenberg has been at since 2017 and is coming out on top. He deserves a lot more credit for that than he seems to be getting. At the end of the day, though, there's no denying he will be very disappointed with the season so far, I'm sure. I could maybe go slightly higher when it comes to his rating, but car issues or not, I just can't help but feel underwhelmed. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me, but there are 9 big races coming up for both the drivers and the team. They've got to start delivering between them. There won't be many who predicted that Toro Rosso would be 5th in the championship by the time we reach the summer break. Even fewer will have predicted a podium. They really have been one of the surprises of 2019, haven't they? Yeah, fine, the P3 in Germany has been the difference between them being up in 5th in the championship and down in 8th. But pushing that to one side, if there is one thing Toro Rosso have been this season, it's consistent. They have only failed to score points at 3 out of the opening 12 races, and that car has looked pretty impressive at times this season, with both drivers being able to battle with those other teams around them. Teams that on paper at least should be beating them comfortably. Honestly, I've been really impressed with them so far this season. I've also been seriously impressed with both of their drivers. Daniel Kvyat has been one of the big surprises of 2019 and appears to have really matured since he was dropped by Toro Rosso in 2017. That year behind the scenes at Ferrari really did him the world of good. I thought he would be okay with Toro Rosso this year, but 6 points finishes, including that podium in Germany, an impressive drive in really tough conditions, by the way, as well as scoring 27 points overall and sitting 9th in the standings. I never for 1 second expected that. He is also just beating his teammate, but it is so close between them. As for rating, I think that both drivers will probably pretty much end up about the same, but sticking with Kvyat, he's shown that he is still quick, he is making far fewer mistakes than he was in his first stint in F1, and he has definitely added more consistent performances. I'm going to go with a 7.5 out of 10, and maybe that half a point is for that podium in Germany. There was a lot of talk over the winter, wasn't there, about how Toro Rosso's driver lineup was almost thrown together out of desperation and a lack of options. Yet Alexander Albon has joined his teammate in massively impressing many in 2019, including Red Bull, who have now of course given him a chance with the main team for the rest of this season. It is his first season in F1 and he has been delivering some strong, again consistent performances. He has also shown on top of that though that he is quick, and as we saw in China, he is more than capable of fighting his way through the field as he went from pit lane to finish 10th. It's that phrase I loved saying at the time, pit lane to points, it just rolls off the tongue so nicely. But anyway, as I mentioned a moment ago, he is being beaten by Kvyat in all but one of the teammate battle stats, but there really is very little in it. The one he's winning, by the way, is the average quali gap, but that's as good as even with just over 100th of a second between them. Not bad at all for a guy in his rookie season. It's a huge 9 races coming up now for Albon. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, but he genuinely has a shot at securing that Red Bull seat for 2020. So he needs to take that Toro Rosso consistency with him and just prove that he can do more than Gasly did in those first 12 races. We shall see how he gets on, but I've got to be honest, the more I look into the stats and the more I look back at some of his drives this season, the more confident I feel for him. As for a rating, it's the same as his teammate, 7.5 for me. Now be honest in the comments section, if I'd said to you at the start of the season that McLaren would have 82 points and were comfortably sat 4th in the Constructors by the summer break, who would have believed me? Again, be honest. I know some of you said that you thought they would end up 4th, but I don't think many would have expected them to be as strong as they have been, certainly compared to what we've seen over recent seasons. And let's not forget that they started the season with a whole new driver lineup. I'm so surprised and also so happy to see that team finally having a good season. Funnily enough though, looking at the stats, it wasn't a particularly strong start to the year. 1 points finished from the opening 3 races. It kind of looked like they might be heading down the same road again, but since then, they've only failed to score once and have been consistently best of the rest and comfortably best of the rest at times. I don't know what else to say other than to just reiterate my genuine surprise at just how good they've been. That's the case as well when it comes to the drivers. Carlos Sainz has been one of the big surprises for me so far this season, and I honestly did not expect him to find his feet quite so quickly at McLaren. Off track, he looks so much happier and so much more comfortable than he has over the last couple of seasons, and I still think that is to do with the fact that he can finally settle as a team thanks to this multi-year deal. The reason I mention that is because if a driver is comfortable and happy, they will deliver on track, and he absolutely has. He's solidly 7th in the standings with 58 points. He goes into the summer break off the back of 2 5th place finishes, and he is even threatening Pierre Gasly for 6th in the championship, although that's probably just as much down to Gasly's lack of performance as it is Sainz's brilliant form. But anyway, now that Pierre has been demoted, Carlos has a great shot at beating him and maybe even a shot at finishing 6th in the championship. I'll admit, again, that I sold Sainz short over the winter. Wow, sold Sainz shorts. Wow, yeah, that is a mouthful. I'm so pleased he's proving me wrong. Now, I've seen some rating him at just 6 out of 10. I can only assume that they were drunk or something when they were doing their ratings, but it's all about opinions, I guess. However, Sainz has easily been one of my drivers of the season so far, so that is why I'm giving him an 8.5. Maybe I've gone too high with that one and it turns out that it's me that's drunk, but he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. Over on the other side of the garage, Landon Iris has also been delivering despite the fact that this is, of course, his first season in Formula 1 and the doubts over whether or not it was a season too soon for him. Considering how good Sainz has been and indeed his experience, Lando deserves a huge amount of credit for the fact that he is actually winning the qualifying battle between the two of them. Now, yeah, of course, he has been pretty well beaten when it comes to the race battle, and indeed in terms of the points scored, but he has found himself, in fairness, on the receiving end of some poor strategy calls from the team, and he's also suffered more non-finishes as well, with reliability playing a part in some of those. Ultimately, for a first year in F1, Norris has done an extremely good job and deserves a huge amount of praise, but on the flip side of that, there does seem to be a little bit of inconsistency there. And of course, that's something that will improve with experience. What about a rating then? Well, to avoid the British bias claims, I'm going to give him a 1. Now that they've gone, I'm actually going to give him a 7.5. Of course I'm not giving him a 1. I do want to add though that I am really looking forward to seeing what both drivers and indeed the team can do between now and the end of the season. Again, huge credit and congratulations to all of them for a seriously good first half of 2019. That is it then for the second of these half-term reports, but don't forget that you can of course let me know your driver ratings and your views on the 3 teams featured today down in the comment section. Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, don't forget that you can follow me over on social media and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.